These players spawning in Jagannatha up here in the top position, representing Kaitsu Gaming. It's time for a reckoning. And his opponent down here representing the Afrika Freaks. It is ARMANI. Which, funnily enough, I think was actually my 4th grade teacher's last name. And I've kind of been thinking about that. I actually looked at an old yearbook from that year, and yeah, it is actually my 4th grade teacher's last name. So, fun fact. That's the only real relation I have to SC2 ARMANI. But anyway, to start things off, we're not going to see anything too crazy in this first game. It looks like all buildings are where they're supposed to be. Everything is right with the world, and I think this is one of those maps where you don't really want to be too crazy here. Zerg players obviously have that little bit of a advantage just because they do have a bunch of different attack paths that they can go through. There's a lot of routes that they can kind of backstab you on, and a player like ARMANI is definitely going to be taking advantage of every single one of those. And you know, the only real advantage for Time here is that once he gets to start dropping, he just does not stop. And there are a couple of different paths that he can go through that are a little bit harder to kind of scout if you're looking for them. So right now, we're going to see here that Time is going to get a little bit of information. Not really going to see anything too crazy here, just the standard stuff. Enemy behind this, he is just going to be going for the factory into reactors, so we should be seeing Hellions as well. That does open up the ability for a Hellbat timing, but you know, on such a large map, it's really hard to kind of reinforce such a thing. Yeah, actually, it's just going to be 3cc. And what I love about this is with the 3cc, what that allows you to do is that allows you to stay relatively equal in terms of that economy for the Terran player, and I mean, it can really force the Zerg player into a really uncomfortable position because they're going to be having to cut drones for the push. It allows the Terran to get that really war machine going much, much quicker. And yeah, off the back of it, you can just really get a lot of aggression going. And as they have to cut drones to kind of produce, any drone loss is going to be even higher, even deadlier for them. Hi, Renegade. Thank you for taking over the last cast. Believe me, I didn't expect it to go as long as it did. All right, so got a couple of Hellions hanging out with the Reaper, but most of them are being kept at home. We will have to keep an eye on that. ARMANI is also going to be keeping an eye on things as well, as he's going to get a full scout off, sees that there's no cloak being researched for, for these Banshees. So that does mean that it's more likely that they're going to be added on to the push to add a little bit of extra damage. It means they're not as useful as harassing units, so he's not going to be able to really stay too long in the main base of ARMANI, especially not with the Spore Crawler and the Queen hanging out. Now that is a lot of Hellions here. No armory, so this isn't going to be... this is not going to be some sort of Hellbat timing. This is just really to kind of dive in there and get a little bit of damage done. And he won't dive in completely, but he will get 2 drones for his trouble. Looks like he's going to go straight for the natural as well. He will get cleaned up here, but we'll have to see how much damage he can get done. That was a very huge commitment for him, and I don't think 7 workers is really going to pay for itself. So very nice hold there from ARMANI. He can replace those workers quite quickly. Now, a little bit of a counterattack is going to get deflected. The siege tank is in position, but this is kind of the thing about getting this base nice and early. Sorry, I had to sneeze. It just allows you to power up to these 5 racks. You got the 5 racks coming down. Stim is already complete. You should be getting combat shields here soon. I hope he did not forget them. That's almost as important as getting Stim Pack. But yeah, there we go. We got the armory to help him get those +2 as well. A little bit of a drop. And, you know, the Banshee got a couple of kills, but not really getting on top of that worker line. There we go. The siege tank's going to be taken on down. That is a very nice pickoff and definitely worth the lings. Coming on through. Hopefully, though, he does have enough at home to defend. It looks like not yet, but the next big warp in should be able to do so. And here we go. Already the 8 workers going on down. We do have a second attack coming in. That's a couple of siege tanks going to be joined up with that as well. And honestly, time is just absolutely decimating right here. Even though it hasn't really been a lot of drone kills, he's just really pulling ARMANI apart with this double prong attack because there's never enough lings to essentially fight this. Even going to get the 4th base as well. He's got his own almost complete. This is just fantastic amounts of damage for time. Yeah, look at that. Even going to start getting the queens. There's not really that much transfuse energy left. I feel like he could have just dived on top of those, really. There's nothing left here. But he's going to play it a little bit safe. Just kind of come back, get the reinforcements, add on those additional racks, get the +2 upgrades. And, you know, I'm kind of worried about that. And what I'm worried about is that if he doesn't continue the attack now, he's going to be giving ARMANI some time. Luckily, though, honestly, even if he moves across the map, he's giving ARMANI time because he is time. Bad pun. But the siege tank is going to tank a lot of the baneling fire. Not going to really be that much left, and I think ARMANI is in a world of trouble here. Just trying to fight on top of the creep, but time is going to be able to just kind of pick up and get on out. And with the additional upgrades, it's just a really difficult position for him. The Muta's not even going to be really the answer here. Now, he does still have a small window where he has that upgrade advantage, so he's going to try and take advantage of that. But again, his run by is just getting cleaned up while the next big wave is going to keep things rolling. I mean, not too much else to say about this. This is a very clean game so far from time. Just taking a look at the units lost here. Not a single SCV and over a 3,000 supply difference. That's kind of the power of Terran on 3 bases. It really allows you to do some wonderful things. There you go. Finally losing some SCVs, but he's gonna trade a base for it. And time. Gonna take the first game here. What an exceptional play. Armani, he just seemed to kind of have that little bit of a struggle in, just kind of in responding. And I'm definitely not saying anything bad against him. He still has a lot of opportunities to come on back. This is a bit of a longer series, but you can kind of see a little bit of a struggle there. All right, going to be hopping into Death Ore now. For sure, this is going to be a good one. Do. All right. Hope everyone is having a wonderful holiday season. Christmas may be over, but we all have a little bit of Christmas in our hearts. And just because of that, I want to give you guys a little bit of a gift. And that gift is this guy down here in the bottom position. He is Time. And your gift is going to be fighting the neighbor's gift up here in the top. He is Armani. So a battle of the gifts today, as you know, Time, he took a pretty early lead there. He really just didn't give Armani the time that he needed. And, you know, I think this game, Armani's going to be playing it a little bit more, I want to say safe, because after a game like that, you kind of want to back up, maybe focus a little bit more heavily onto your tech tree, just to try and just kind of try and force your opponent to play it a little bit more defensive as well, because once you get up to that sort of hive tech, once you start getting your Ultralisks, your Brood Lords, your Infestors, that kind of stuff, it becomes really difficult to push as the Terran player playing mech. And I mean, I don't really see Time using mech that much, so it definitely is going to be a bio-oriented style, which just makes it a little bit even more difficult. We'll have to see if Time is going to be going for that 3cc once again. Just trying to get that power up going. We do see that he's being a little bit proactive here. He's kind of scouting around, making sure that there's no sort of hidden run by or any hidden bases going around. I mean, off the back of this, it's pretty standard stuff. Hellion going to be there. And look at that, actually going to get a cancel on that third base. That's going to slow down Armani's tremendously. So, nothing too crazy from either side once again. Both sides kind of just chilling. Yeah, you know, I think Deathlore is kind of one of those maps where it does favor the more aggressive side, It's a lot quicker to get across the map with these three acceleration zones, which just makes it really kind of tricky to kind of defend. Luckily for the Zerg player, they do have that kind of defender's advantage with being able to pop out an army relatively quickly, especially off of 3 bases. But, you know, the Hellions are just going to be poking around for a little bit, trying to find maybe a wayward drone here or there. But honestly, this is just buying time for, well, time to power up here. He's getting all the upgrades that he needs. I mean, with ARMANI though, we still don't see a lair. And that's one thing you do see, is the lair not starting until about 5 to 6 minutes sometimes. Which is one of those, it's one of those things. Do you kind of sacrifice getting that up that tech tree for some of those earlier upgrades to try and keep yourself a little bit safer? Or do you go for some of those more hard-hitting units, say roaches, hydralisks? I know roaches are tier 1, but they also have an upgrade on lair tech, which makes them significantly better. And now, this is one of the most important things about a Terran's player style as well. So if you do play Terran, kind of take note. Basically, right now he has some DPS out on the map in these Hellions. He's out and about, but now he's kind of pulling back with them. But the thing about it is, during the mid game, especially, you do kind of want to have some sort of a harassment across the map. Be it the medevacs, be it the Hellions, you just always want to kind of be at least trading efficiently with the Zerg opponent, because that forces them to remake a lot of their units, which slows down their drone production. And that's going to be the most important thing, because once they start hitting that 80 to 90 drone count, they could just pump units for days, and it's so difficult to kind of push into that. Now, time though, he's got the first wave right here in these couple of medevacs, but ooh, actually going to get a couple of queens, which is really nice. But now we have this synergy with the Hellions, which is just fantastic. And look at that, even going to get a bunch of those banelings. They didn't have speed at all, so all these queens are going to start to fall. Now, time has to be very careful here. Very good splits there, just going to make sure that he doesn't lose too much. Back at home, though, big baneling drop going to be going on down. But I don't even know if it really matters here, as ARMANI forced to remake a lot of those drones and forced to have a lot of lings here. Looks like we got the Widowmines taking out some of those queens as well, so this is a lot more committed damage than just that baneling drop. Now they do have speed, so time has to be a little bit more careful on the creep. He will back on out of there, but I mean, look at the supply. ARMANI under 100, and time even just eating that baneling, not going to be that big of a deal. GG is called. Time goes up to a very quick 2-0 lead in this series. I know ARMANI said he was feeling a little bit sick, but that playstyle was very sick out of time. Alright, so we should be seeing what the third map is going to be. It's looking like it is Romanticide. Also, thank you, Sugar SC2, for the 4-month Prime subscription. You are awesome, my man. sorry for having to end the stream for your thing. In my defense, I did say yes to you first. Hashtag sponsored. All right. So let's introduce these. Let's introduce these boys once again. Spawning in the bottom position, looking to close things out in a clean sweep. It is time. And this guy up here is looking to fix things, get back this series. He needs to win the next 3. Give it up for ARMANI. Yep, we're going to have 2 best-of-5 series followed up by a very nice best-of-7 for the winner of these 2 series. Pretty awesome stuff so far, I gotta say. If time goes on to the final, who would you guys much rather see him play? Because we have Prince and Dream, so would you prefer to see him in a TVT or a TVP? Check the time, a league like history. Yeah, he is pretty solid. Pretty solid in his TVZ. His TVT is really good as well. So I would love to see him go up against Dream for the finals. But you know what? I'm not even going to guess how that series is going to go, as Prince and Dream pretty damn good. Oh, and that's right. It looks like we do have a Matcherino for this tournament. So if you guys want to check that out as well, you add 50 cents to the prize pool just by copy and pasting that little code right there. It's completely free. And I think that's kind of 2 of my favorite words in that order. Free money, even though I don't get it. All right, so far so good here. Looks like ARMANI going to be going for the low ground position. And I like that position for Zerg player. Basically what that allows you to do is that allows you kind of this huge head start on getting your creep across the map. With that, you're going to be able to kind of push your opponent a little bit easier. And it kind of forces the momentum of your opponent away from this side over here, which does mean it leaves a pretty nice opening, especially if your opponent copies you and sends it to the low ground. So that's just another angle that you can kind of push your way into as the Zerg player. Yeah, right now it's pretty much just kind of hanging out for both sides here, although I think we're going to see a Hellbat push here. Maybe. There is a possibility of it. This is kind of one of those telltale signs of some sort of Hellbat aggression. When you pump out a couple of additional Marines beforehand, what that allows you to do is that allows you to add just a little bit of DPS to any sort of push. So we'll just have to keep an eye out to see if that armory is dropped. I don't think it'd be dropped right now just because we do see that Overlord hanging around, so you don't want to reveal exactly what you're going for.
Our forces are under attack.
Yeah, he has seen the 3rd CC here. might be a little bit of a misdirection. On the other side of things, we've got the Baneling Nest coming down. Lair as well, going to be finishing up here pretty soon. Just one Evo chamber, so not going to go too hard on the upgrades early on. That's a little bit more tech focused. Kind of like what I was saying in a previous game. You kind of have to choose between getting your tech up and your upgrades. And this is kind of like a little mix between the two. And you know what? There we go. It's a little bit later than a normal timing for a Hellbat push. But what that allows you to do is that allows you to get stim up, get a huge amount of Marines. And the synergy, between these two is absolutely fantastic. Especially when there's no speed on those Banelings. That's the most important thing here, is that there is absolutely nothing that can chase you down off of creep. Alright, so time just looking for an angle to open up on. Right now, kind of just dancing on the edge of creep, going to clear up a little bit as well. A little bit of supply block there. He's got 7 overlords on the way, so not the biggest of deals. The Reaper going to be coming forward to get a little bit of information. And I kind of like how patient time is being, because it can be a little bit difficult to gauge how much your opponent has when they're on the creep. Just because there's a lot of different angles that they can come from. So if you throw away this army, then you're going to start to fall behind pretty heavily. Now we do see once again the Baneling drop's going to be coming in. So this is a really cool move from ARMANI. And we'll have to see if time is paying attention. See, where is he looking right now? So far he's going to be focusing on his army in the front. Going to pick up a couple of more overlords. So the Banelings are going to go straight for it. All of the Hellions do start to fall. He's going to get a couple of more pickoffs before picking himself off. And on the other side of the map, the Baneling drop. 13 workers dead. Oh, the humanity. Now, I hope for ARMANI's sake that this army size graph is not going to tell a really dark story for him. As we do have plenty of C-Tanks here, but a huge Baneling connection. Going to take down a good chunk of that army supply. And it's relatively even now. Time finds himself a really nice position behind the rock, so his C-Tank is just going to start shelling away. The Banelings have to be careful. They need to sync up with this army if they're going to have any chance here. I do like how ARMANI is just going to say to heck with this position, just because it's a little bit too tricky to defend with the siege tanks in the back. But time kind of just baiting him forward. Muta's not going to be able to get any good connections either. So now time, consolidating his forces once again, going to rotate around and go for the brand new 4th base, while ARMANI's going to be going for a little bit of a counter push. Actually, there's no Banelings with this, so he's going to have to rely on the Mutalisks to help push this down, but I hope he hasn't committed too much to that, as we see time moving on forward. Very aggressive siege up position. And the Banelings all going to get taken down. There's actually nothing left over there. He cleans up the supply depot wall, which will supply block time, but again, he doesn't really have enough. The morphing Banelings are going to go down. at that. He's right on top of the Baneling Nest as well. He can focus fire that. And while he might get cleaned up here, he's going to take everything with him. Now, Armani is going to struggle a little bit because he does need to replace those workers. He's only down on 60 right now, so he is behind in that regard, which does mean that he has to find this little balance between remaking his army and macroing back up. But once again, time just not really going to give him that opportunity. Another little Baneling drop right here. Really nice. CJ going to be able to wail away on this base as well, which is just so important. If Armani can't defend here, then he's just going to fall way too far behind, because Time already has his 4th up, and he can lift that. He can send that down whenever he wants. But that's going to be a little bit of a last-ditch effort there for Time, as we see the swarm of red coming across the map. GG is called, and Time, with a very quick 3-0 victory, is going to be moving on